Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be discussing with you the risks to individuals associated with the use of social media. First risk I want to discuss with you is misinformation. Now, hands up if you've ever heard of misinformation. Chris, can you give me a definition of misinformation?
Misinformation is probably, I think, information that is false or that starts as the truth and a bit like Chinese whispers then spreads and it changes over time and sometimes is referred to as like fake news. Yes,
fake news or rumours, yeah. For examples of misinformation include, the Capitol riots that took place on January the 6th, 2021. Now these took place because Donald Trump, I suppose, used social media to gather up a crowd of supporters to storm the Capitol building. For example, this man here, this is a photo from it. I believe he got about 15 years in prison for his role. And then quite recently, in a debate against Kamala Harris, Donald Trump claimed that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, were eating dogs and cats, which will end up which his followers will end up using as a basis to increase discrimination against migrants in the country. Now, I would give misinformation a low and a medium risk. Low because most people these days get their news sources from trusted sources like the Financial Times and sometimes the BBC, but medium because there are some people who take their information, the news they get at face value, and will believe anything they hear. Now, the second risk I have to social media poses is mental health. So, social media. Actually, no. Who here can say that they think that their mental health has been affected by the use of social media? Chris, again, tell me. Can you give me an example of when you think this has happened to you?
I quite often at night time will get into wormholes of various content and then very quickly realise it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and then a lack of sleep leads to the following day me being sluggish and sometimes a bit anxious and depressed because I'm tired.
That's one of my points. Yes, social media here has been linked to things such as lack of sleep, anxiety, and depression, and this is linked to a chemical known as dopamine, because it's released when we use social media, and it's gotten to a point that TikTok has been sued by 13 US states for wreaking havoc, as the BBC says, on the mental health of the youth. And Australia is planning to set a minimum age that children have to be to access social media, because it's gotten to a point where they're having concerns about mental or physical health. So I would give this a risk rating of extremely high, because everyone uses social media and therefore everyone is vulnerable. Everyone's mental health is vulnerable to social media. The next risk I'm going to discuss is cancel culture, specifically with YouTube. Now, cancel culture is basically the mass withdrawal of a public figure online after they have done something which, in the past or present, which wouldn't be seen as socially acceptable today. All these YouTubers have done just that. So the three we're going to talk about are Colleen Ballinger, who was exposed as a groomer and made an apology video for which he also had to apologize. Logan Paul, who made a very, very bad video in Japan which showed the body of an apparent suicide victim in a forest. He had to apologize for it, and he got he was cancelled, lost a lot of following. And Jack Maynard, who in 2011 made a vast amount of homophobic, racist, and predatory tweets, which got him cancelled and kicked off the TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. All these YouTubers were cancelled. Some of them have come back, and some of them had to apologize for their apology. So I believe that the risk rating for cancel culture is medium to high. Medium, for most of us, we're not going to face cancel culture unless, on the off chance, we've done something or said something on the past, specifically on sites such as Instagram or Twitter, which wouldn't be seen as socially acceptable today. But for people such as social media influencers or people who want to become them, it can be quite high if they have said those things. So the final risk I'd like to talk to you about is addiction and social media addiction. Who here would say that they have an average screen time of over, let's say, 7 hours a day on their phone? Okay, so some of you. And this is my point. Addiction, we are all addicted. It has been revealed that almost half of the British teenagers, 1 in 2 of us in here, half of you, are addicted to social media. And the EU has launched a probe into Meta over social media addiction in children. Now this links back to my prior point on mental health it's the dopamine. Like, there's 2 things in this world where people who indulge in them are considered to be users: social media and drugs. Both of these are addictive because of the chemical dopamine that they both release into your brain. That's why this has such a bad effect. That's why social media has such a bad effect on the mental health of children. If you don't have one thing that you need, like an addiction, you're going to feel as though you need more and more of it, which will, I suppose, lead to less sleep and more anxiety and depression, hence why this has an effect on mental health. So to conclude, I'm going to give addiction a risk rating of high, because most people who have social media are going to be addicted to one thing, to a certain aspect of it, like be it Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, at some point in their lives. So yes, thank you very much for listening to my TED Talk. Thank you.